This is probably one of the most important videos in this series. Things that you should know before looking for an apartment in New York City. Nah, cut that intro. You guys don't care about intro anyways. I see the stats. None of you are sticking around after the intro. You guys are impatient. Small goldfish energy right there. The other day I got a call from a friend asking me how to look for an apartment, but then I realized there's so many things that you should know before looking for an apartment. Instead of walking around the city, I thought it would be nice to sit down, get cozy, and talk to you about all the things that you will need to know before looking for an apartment in New York City. Get cozy, grab a drink, because I have a lot of information coming at you. The temperature and rent in New York City is at an all-time high. So how do you find an affordable apartment? Here is how you can finesse it. Bruh. But before we get started, you guys know the drill. First things first, I can already see so many people in the comments going like, oh, you live in a shoebox, it's the size of a dorm, I don't want to live there. Then don't come. We don't want you here. Now that all the doubters are gone, let's get started. Like I mentioned in my previous video, no matter when you're moving, you will need to save some money to get an apartment in New York City. So how much money should you save? I recommend saving somewhere from $3,000 to $6,000 before looking for an apartment. You will have to decide your budget, but rent isn't the only thing that you need to worry about. Up next, utilities. Utilities are a consistent monthly expense, so you do need to take that into consideration. Some apartments might include the utilities in the rent and some won't, so you definitely need to take that into account. So what are the utilities that you should think about? So let's talk about the utilities from the most important to the least important. Internet, water, gas, electricity. Yeah, we all know that internet should be at the top of the list because you need that to scroll all day on TikTok, working from home. Just admit it. It's totally fine. Own up to it. It's all good. We all have been there. But utilities are not the only expenses you need to worry about. There will be moving expenses, then you will have to furnish the apartment possibly. There are some apartments which already come with furniture, but it's more common that the apartment does not come with furniture. So do keep that in mind. Even if you start working after you move right away, you probably won't get your paycheck until 2 to 3 weeks after you start your job. That's something to keep in mind as well. Another small expense that might come your way is renter's insurance. So some apartments will require that from you when signing the lease, so do consider that as well. Yeah, a lot of money. This just it. It takes way too much to exist nowadays. Back to you, Anish. Now that you know how much you need to save in order to move to the city, and I kind of regretting the thought of moving here, pause this video, go back to my previous video, watch it, make yourself feel better, and then come back and continue this video. Another requirement that you will need in order to qualify for an apartment is you will need to earn 40 to 50 times the rent. Usually it's 40 times, but I have seen some places ask for 50 times, especially in Manhattan. So what does that mean? That means that if your rent is $2,000, you will need to earn around $80,000 per year in order to qualify for an apartment. Now you might ask, Anish, I don't have that much money. I don't know how I'll qualify for it. That's totally fine. That's why we have the sugar daddies. The guarantors. But do keep in mind that the guarantors have to earn 80 times the rent. It'll be double. So around $160,000. If you don't have any sugar daddies, guarantors, sorry, I keep forgetting. There are some ways to secure a guarantor, which I'll talk later in this video. So stick around, yo, cliffhanger. For real though, there's a long application process, which I almost made a different video for, but I included it at the end of the video. So stick around. Before we get into that, here's some pearls of wisdom. New York apartments are hotter than the hottest person in your high school. Asking them out for prom and they've already been asked for. Well, it's definitely really hot if you don't have an AC, but that's a story for some other day. If you like an apartment, you need to jump on it like it's the last slice of pizza on the table. Just do it. Just do it! Pounce. What am I doing? Okay. They go off the market really quickly. So it brings me to the next point. Don't set your heart at any apartment. Don't get attached.
Real easy way to say this, but look, you're a simp.
I know some of you guys getting attached way too quickly. It's okay. Own up. I can assure you, you will find your apartment in New York City. Come on, there's like 8 million people staying here. You can do it. You'll be one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Now don't worry. Next point. When I moved here on a Saturday, and when I got here on Sunday, the apartment was already gone. You have to realize that you are on your own and that no one is on your side. You have to have everything ready in order to apply for an application. Also, if you're having to rush to get an apartment more than your pace, then don't go for it. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So yeah, think logically and not from down there, you know. What's that? You'd like to say something to them? Ditch your car. Yeah, do not bring a car. Please, I'm begging you. Public transport in New York is amazing.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Pretty good, I'd say. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. I mean, most of the people living in the city don't even have a license. That should tell you that it's probably a good idea to not bring a car. Some of the native New Yorkers don't even know how to drive. Yeah, don't get in a car with a native New Yorker. Now, downsize before coming to New York. Just sell your shit. Marie Kondo that shit. I'm running out of things to say, but yeah, you get the gist. Moving is such a hassle, it'll save you money on some moving expenses and also some trauma and therapy later on. Okay, the plus side to this is whenever you sell stuff, you can save faster to move to the city. The general notion is that it's expensive to move to New York City. No. Just sell your stuff and you're good. You can't fit all your shit in the apartment anyway. People say it's a bad thing, but I say it's a good thing. You become a minimalist. Over the years, you'll be moving multiple times in the city. Having less shit will help you move more efficiently. Talking about getting rid of shit, I also recommend you get rid of your furniture every time you move. Don't pretend like you don't change your phone every year to get the latest and greatest. So why not do the same thing with your furniture? Sell this shit. Get a new couch. Get a new bed. Get everything new. Spend all that money. Moving expenses is one of the most expensive things. So if you have less things to move, it'll be cheaper on you. Now, I don't know if you have been catfished before, but these New York apartments, they are all Photoshop with wide angle lenses, brighten up. I swear, these New York landlords use Photoshop more than even the fashion industry.
Graphic design is my passion.
Do not sign a lease before you look at it in person. Also, do you know what's better than being lonely and depressed in New York City? Is being lonely and depressed with your roommates and saving some money. So get roommates. I highly recommend getting roommates. It's not only easier to look for apartments with roommates and save some money, but you also get free therapy sessions at night. Some of your days will be boring, then you can just come home and be passive aggressive to your roommates about dishes for some drama. To be fair, it's really good to have roommates and go through that first New York experience together, bond over it, and I think that's one of the most valuable things that you would do when you first move to the city. And now if you don't have any friends moving to the city and you're worried about finding a roommate, don't worry about that at all. People are more desperate to find roommates than get laid in the city. You will find a roommate because again, it all involves money. So here's some renting terms that you should be aware of. Leasing and subleasing. Leasing is like being in a long-term commitment. I mean, I'm talking about the apartment. And subleasing is for a short-term living situation. Subleasing can happen in two ways. One is that you sign the sublease from the people living in the apartment and the landlord allows it. I highly recommend getting your name into the lease because that way you don't get, kicked out and your terms and condition of your living situation doesn't change. Damn, that sounded so corporate. You might think doing month-to-month is great, but you are paying for convenience. So it'll definitely be more expensive than the other arrangement. So do keep that in mind. If at the end of the month they find someone who's going to sign the list, you're out. Sometimes people will ask you to Venmo them or PayPal them, which is kind of sketchy, but I've done it. You just have to be very sure about it and have to check out the place before getting it. Now let's talk about the villain in the story, the broker.
Real estate agents are the worst. They're scumbags. They're good for nothing, unnecessary, blood-sucking parasites. And now look, you're not wrong.
I'm kidding. Brokers can be really useful for some people, the rich. But I like to look for apartments in the city by myself because I don't have money. Apartment hunting is fun. You can definitely go into different houses and check them out. Cry about the fact that you'll never be able to own them, but at least I guess you can rent them. Brokers are usually the middleman and they will connect you to landlords and apartment management companies. So brokers help you narrow down to your best possible choice. I'm kidding. They try to narrow it down to the most expensive one so they can get paid more. That's right. Here's why they're the villain. Usually brokers charge you a broker fee, which is 15% of your annual rent. And no, I'm not going to do the math for you this time. Do it yourself. Just kidding. I'll do the math for you, but subscribe. So if your apartment is $2,000 and you're paying 15% broker fee, it'll be around $3,600. So that's more than a month's rent, and that's insane. And the weird thing is that a lot of times these brokers are hired by the landlord, but they want you to pay the broker fee, even if technically the landlord should pay for it. So how do you avoid this broker fee? You can look for no fee apartments which don't have a broker fee. But here's what I've heard. I'm not sure, but it makes sense. A lot of the times landlord would include that broker fee throughout your lease to absorb back the cost, because who wants to pay it out of the pocket? Now some of you might say that, oh, wasn't there a law passed about no broker fee? Yeah, there was, and there was a temporary ban on broker fee, but of course there was heavy lobbying against it, and now that rule doesn't exist anymore. Welcome to capitalism.
Capitalism is the only way, Leslie. It moves our country forward. It's what makes America great.
Now let's get into the more serious stuff. How to apply for the apartment. So here are the things that you would need for your application. Photo ID, good credit score, bank statement, pay stub, letter of employment, and sometimes even references. Yeah, I hope you're nice to your neighbors and your previous landlord. What else? Blood work, your SAT score, your zodiac sign, your personality trait, and why do you want to live at that apartment in MLA formatting. Just be ready to tell them your whole life story. Sometimes some apartment will be flexible about it. For example, when I first moved, they were flexible about the pay stub, and since I had a letter of employment and I had a good credit score, they overlooked it. There's also an application fee when applying for these apartments, and a lot of places will ask you like $80 to $150, but here's the thing, New York has capped that application fee to only $20. So when you ask them, oh, why do you need this extra money, they would say, oh, to run a credit check and a background check. But this is why you subscribe to me. We can finesse this as well. Let's finesse this again. Just Google free credit report, and there's so many services where you can get a free credit report from them, and you can use that throughout your application process. As long as the credit report is not older than 30 days, most applications will accept it. Let's say you didn't do that beforehand and you applied for an apartment and it didn't work out. You can always ask for a credit report from the broker and use that in your next apartment. So the 40 to 50 times rent that I mentioned previously is actually the total household income that you need. It's not only on you, and that sometimes also apply for credit score. The only caveat is that your roommates might need to show more money in their bank account, and even if they don't have a good credit score, they will look over that, especially if you're international. Since I was an international student, my roommate was an international student, and they didn't have a credit score. Fortunately, I had one because one of my upperclassmen had mentioned that I should build credit in order to get an apartment. They just looked at my credit score and not theirs. But please move money into your bank well before you start applying, because otherwise it's so sketchy. You are applying for an apartment on Sunday and on Friday you just have so much money come into your bank account. Just don't be sketch, okay? Let's say you don't have any of the sugar daddy. I mean guarantor. Sorry, I keep messing up. I'm sorry. Now let's say you don't earn 40 to 50 times and you don't have any guarantors. Then how do you go about that? I got you. Just to refresh your memory, guarantor has to earn 80 times the rent, and they have to usually be US citizen. They don't usually accept international guarantors. That's sometimes tough on international students, but you can pay sites and get guarantors for an amount of fee. There are sites like Guarantors, Rhino, GD, Insurance. I haven't personally used it, but I have heard of some success stories of people using them. The landlord can only charge you the first month and a security deposit, and not the last month's rent or any other absurd amount of money. The security deposit is usually a month's rent. It cannot be more than that. When you apply for an apartment, you put the application fee and you put 1 month's rent as a good faith for them to take it off the market when your application is being processed. Once you accept that month's money just becomes security deposit. After that, you will have to pay the first month's rent, which is the rent you would usually pay month to month anyway. Whew. So yeah, that's everything that you should know before looking for an apartment. So why don't you go prepare all those documents till I prepare the video of finding an apartment. Goodbye.